Hey, Joachim here from Brooklyn, New York. Quick introduction to our new wiki space. Let me show you how that looks like. Here's the new wiki called Bookstack. And Bookstack has actually a bunch of features that are really interesting for us. One feature is it has bookshelves. That means we can actually have multiple bookshelves in a single space here. So we can share the books with other entities, right? In this case, there could be a bookshelf for Haifa, and here's a bookshelf for Samara, right? But there could be other duos, let's say that Samara is creating later on, they could have their own bookshelf. And we can start actually to share the books like a library almost, right? So we can share the books with each other. That's the broader aspect of this new wiki space. But let's take a look at some details here. So I'm clicking on the Samara bookshelf, and here's the first book, the very first book that we are about to create, which is called the Game Guide, right? So this is coming out of the quests. And let's take a look at the game guide. Clicking on this, you see the full outline now of the book that we're creating, right? Notice that some of these are in blue here with these lines. These are single pages here. And further on, you have actually these brown lines, which are chapters of the book, right? So chapters consist of multiple pages, right? That's the only difference here. And then there's some more pages at the bottom here. So this lays out the entire book. What we'll do is let's take a look at some of these pages, right? So for example, if I click on the preface here, I'm entering this page now, and notice on the right side, I have some actions that I can take on the page, but I can edit it, I can copy it, I can move it around. But let's just see how the editing process works in this wiki space. So clicking on edit, I'm coming now to the edit page. So this looks very much like any other editor that you've seen in the past. And it has these basic formatting functions here on top, right? You can realign it, you can bullet items, you can underline it, italicize it, and so forth. What I would like to point out here is that we're not wanting to sort of do too much of the formatting at this stage. The idea is that the wiki will eventually be formatted into a PDF. We're going to add some additional sort of layout and design to the content, and then render it into the final output. So for now, just focus on the raw content. You know, you can do paragraphs, you can do bullet lists and italicize some words, but don't try to sort of make it look prettier, right? With additional headings or structure. That's not necessary. So just the raw content and paragraphs is fine. I also wanted to mention that if you have something to say on any of the other pages. So yeah, let me take a step back here. So this wiki is really a co-creation space. So anybody who is invited to this space has access to all pages, right? So we can actually co-create the pages together. This is not a single effort of a single person or a few people. It's really the entire group can come in here and edit the section of the wiki that they feel most comfortable with, right? That they have most knowledge about. But you can also, you know, look at other sections and see what they're writing about, and then leave something like a comment on that page, right? And the way to do that is the best way to do that is actually just write something directly on the page and then italicize it, right? Like here in this example. So I'm saying this should have more content. Here's my initials here, JS. And anybody who's reading this page will see this is a comment about the content, right? It's not part of the content here. That's the stuff, you know, the regular text up here, but it's different from that, right? So this is one way to do that. And the other way, let me show you this. Once you're done, click on save, right? So now I saved my page here. There's also a comment feature at the bottom here. So if you want to write something in general, more generic about the page, you can just click on add comment and you're done, right? I also want to point out this navigation tool on top here. So it starts with the shelves. You know, remember you saw the two shelves there. Here's the Samara bookshelf, and here's the book itself called the Game Guide, right? And then here's the first page called Preface in the Game Guide. But let's go back to the Game Guide one more time, and I want to show you how chapters look like. So here's in brown, right, the different chapters, starting with Welcome to Samara, Identity, Individual Stories, our Roots, our Branches, Future State, right? So these are the chapters inside the book. And let me click on one of them, which is our roots, right? So how we build our foundations, because this is more outlined now. So this is a structure we provide sort of a preliminary temporary structure we put in there. This is not the final wording of the headlines, right? The structure will change over time, but it gives you an idea of where we are in the roots section of the wiki. So here's the structure, right? So we started talking about the Samara DNA and RNA, the governance, membership protocol, archetypes, compensation model, tokenomics, structure elements, and activities, right? So each one of these you see in blue are pages, right? So I can click on this, open the page level, and as you saw on the previous one, just click on edit here on the right side, and I can start editing that page here. Let's say I take out this content here and click again on save page, and I'm done, right? Immediately this is updated, and you can see now that I'm in the game guide in our roots chapter, right? And then on the page called Samara DNA and RNA, and I've done editing it. That's it. Let's go back to the game guide. Notice that I have added at least 2 pages. There may be more in the future, but some status pages and how-to pages for this game guide. Those will be removed at the end because obviously they're not part of the book that we're putting together. They are just for us to track what we're doing. So if I open this page here for the status, notice that there's a table in here, right, to tell you some of the bigger items we're currently working on. Obviously, there's install the book stack, which is done now, and then there's inviting the participants to Cloud Run and the wiki space, which is done too. The bigger pieces item are coming here, right? So this is actually adjusting, confirming the structure of the outline, divvying up the work among the participants, and then starting this hackathon over the next course of a couple of days, maybe a week, to write the content, right? So writing, co-writing, rewriting, embedding the artifacts. And then do a review here, deciding on how far we're coming along here. Are we pacing along well? Is something missing? Once it's complete, then we get into the editorial review and final approval of the content. Then we can apply some of the additional markup or formatting features we want to introduce, and then render it as a PDF file or EPUB or MOBI to see how that to download it to the e-reader. Okay. This is the status. This is some additional text here if you want to look through this here in terms of you can see who actually did what update to what section here, some settings of the wiki and some key links here. And here's the hedgehog. That's the outline that I had put together earlier on what I call the final stretch here, right? So final stretch is the video recording here that defines what we wanted to do with the wiki space and with the game guide, right? There's a section on logistics in this document and another section on the content, right? So notice that it starts also with the identity here, our story. So same outline that I just wrote down here in this document is now actually present here in the game guide that we are currently co-creating together, right? That's the idea. So everybody coming together to the same space, and we can see how this is progressing, right? And see what's missing, and then hopefully wrap it up and add some additional artifacts, mostly images or video snippets to the pages. Here, let me show you this too, these snippets, how that looks like. These are called embedded media assets. So you can embed videos here. This is a Vimeo video. This is a YouTube video here. And you saw we can embed the notes document here. We can also embed the Miro board, the whiteboarding feature. That's directly, a window looking into the whiteboard here. And we can embed the presentations, right? We have them, so they're all available here. And you can even go full screen and see that from within the wiki space. If you want to add your own little snippet here, let me show you how that works real quick. So let's take a look at the Vimeo thing here. Click on this. You see the blue outline now around the video snippet, and this one is highlighted here, right? So this says insert edit media. So this is how you add the media asset to that. If you click on this, it shows you 2 tabs here. One is general, that's the source of this, and then one is embed. You want to take a look at embed because that has a snippet of code here. And it's the same snippet that we're going to use for all of these embeds, right? So it applies to Vimeo, it applies to the YouTube videos, it applies to the Miro snippets or the other embeds that we want to use here. And the only thing you need to change here really is to say, see where it says source here, and then there's a link to the source here. And that will be the link to your document, that is embedded on the screen. Everything else stays the same, the width stays the same and the height. You can change the height a little bit, if you feel like this is a document, so make it longer, obviously, right? If it's a video clip, then keep it at this height here. And that's it, really. That'll create that snippet here for you, and it's part of the page now. It makes it very convenient to scroll through the wiki, right? It will not show up on the EPUB, by the way, because the EPUB is really just a rendering of the raw text and the images, and nothing else. Everything else is removed from the EPUB version and the Mobi version for the e-readers. All right, that's it. Let me go back to the page here for the game guide. Again, there is a structure now, an outline that we're starting to use. It's going to change over time, but I think it's a great co-creative space. It's a way to co-create a whole book, right? I think that's the first for us, and see how far we can take this along. I wanted to show you one more thing here. The game guide. So let me close this here. Once it is rendered on an e-reader, it looks like this. So I'm already creating here the cover page, temporary placeholder, right? But you can actually then flip through the game guide on an e-reader. And the nice thing about that is that the formatting is already there. So you don't have to worry about, it's too tiny or the PDF file is not readable on your mobile device. You can very, easily read the content because it's formatted for an e-reader through the export process in the wiki. So that's a nice feature that we have. So we can hand that out at the end of the quest and the next quest and have something that we can hand out to other people, right? Outside of Haifa, outside of Samara, to get them introduced to what we're doing, where we coming from, right? And how we arrived at this space and where we're going to, right? So it has a lot to do with the future of Samara, right? Wanted to do a bigger chapter at the end to talk about where we want to go next with Samara, the organization, to the marketplaces in the box, to the organization in the box, villages in the box, the academy, and the impact model that we will be working with. So that's it. Thank you for listening, and have fun editing the Wikispace. Bye-bye.